Yeah. Yeah. That totally makes sense. And I have a few things I wrote down. My mind works in weird ways. I
Mhm.
did want to mention these in reaction to what you said, that were cool things. You mentioned that teacher in school bringing, that was amazing. He brought all those people in because that's a lot of work just coordinating that.
Oh, it's immense. I mean, he took us to see the Cleveland Orchestra.
Yeah. He was
I grew
into
up in
it.
Pennsylvania, so that's like a 2 hour drive to go see
Yeah.
the Cleveland. We went to go see the Cleveland Orchestra, and he would play records all the time in class and stuff. There were a lot of really cool, awesome things that he did that, that a lot of times as you become more of a veteran teacher, you feel like you don't have the time for.
Right.
That's more important to you, I guess, when you're younger, because I don't know, you don't feel it as much when it's really hard to do that kind of stuff. I,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. And that's going to lead to one of these questions my friend John has for sure. I mean,
Okay.
you've already really answered them
Mm-hmm.
really well. Um, Another thing reaction thing I wrote down, I can't read my writing. This was a weird one I thought of. When you were talking about improvisation at the basketball game,
Mm-hmm.
here's a weird thing my brain does. I think like basketball is a improvisation within a
Mm-hmm.
structure, and each team has 5 players. So it's a dual pentatonic jam.
There you go.
Anyway, uh, oh, another thing was when you mentioned playing with somebody who you revered as a musician.
Hmm.
I was going to ask you, and you brought this up, but you did. You were in awe of him, but you also had a little. You were intimidated a little bit, right?
Oh yeah,
To play,
yeah,
yeah,
big time.
yeah. So that's one of the things that if you can overcome that and step into that situation, playing with people like that's what's going to make you awesome.
And I really have to give Bruce a lot of credit because I mean, like, he's such a gracious guy, and so like, I mean, he's so aware, I'm sure, of the sort of hushed awe that people have of him, because he plays as well now as he did when he was in Ferguson's band in the
Yeah,
'70s and all. I mean, he's amazing. He's really amazing, and he would almost go out of his way, but not to a point where you don't trust him to make you feel good about your playing. Like, he really was like, "Hey man, you got a great sound. Like, yeah, that was really good." Or like, "Hey, why don't you take this solo? Take it, see what happens." Like,
yeah,
he give you a couple pointers, and you go up and you do it, and he's like, "All right, yeah, it's pretty good, man." Like, I,
yep,
I felt really encouraged. I'm like, Jesus, Bruce just told me that I sound good.
yep,
Maybe I sound good. I don't
yeah,
know. Like things you never thought of even before. Like, I never really, I mean, I try to play the right notes and in tune and all that stuff, but I never really thought of myself like, do I have a good sound?
right, yep,
As a player, I was just playing because that's what you do, right? And I think Bruce kind of raised my awareness of that as well, because I heard him play, and I'm like, I want to sound like that. How do I sound like that? And that really made me explore different playing techniques and all that stuff to see if I can match the way he sounds. And I still try and sound like Bruce. Basically,
yep,
it's
yep,
that's kind of buried in there.
yeah. Uh, and another thing was like you said, ended up in you take lessons from somebody from these encounters, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's another thing too is when you get those, seek those out. Like I remember when I lived in San Francisco for like in 1998, and
Mm-hmm.
I heard he was a homeless guy on the corner of Market Street, and he played jazz guitar through a little amp, and this guy was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Hey, do you teach lessons?" And we ended up meeting like 7 o'clock in the morning on Market in San Francisco downtown, and he gave me a
Mm-hmm.
lesson every Sunday, and I learned a lot from that guy. It was pretty interesting.
Far out. That's awesome. Yeah, that's one thing I always try and tell like younger people is like, or even older for that matter. Like, if somebody's better than you, don't be like, I don't know, ashamed of that or jealous of that. Like, gravitate towards that and see what you can learn from them.
Yep.
Like, one of my favorite keyboard players is like 20 years younger than me.
Oh, yeah.
Evan Mercer is his name, and he plays with
Okay.
Betty Levette, and he's all over Detroit, and he's incredible. And it's like anytime I can learn something from Evan, I try and
Yeah.
take that opportunity because he's so good.
Yep. Yep. That's great. And I remember you having me come in when you were teaching at Ore Creek
Mm-hmm.
and helping with the strings. Because the guitar, like a lot of kids playing guitar, they learn a few chords and they learn the tab for the for the metal songs or whatever.
Yep.
And then look at a jazz chart and it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
a lot of stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So it's good that, I mean, that was wise of you to bring somebody in to kind of boil that down for them.
Oh,
So,
100%. Because I mean, I didn't know how to teach them how to do that. And like, I could barely play it myself
yeah.
on guitar. So how do I show somebody how to do it? So it was great having you come in and help them with that. And they flourished. I mean, like just having you come in, how many times you come in? Like a handful, right?
Yeah. They'll get preparing for a concert.
Right. And I mean, like they just flourished in
Yep.
a very short period of time because you knew how to show them how to do that.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
Yeah. Those charts, they look at it and there's all the, if they have the triangles and the dashes,
Yep.
it's like, this is looks like algebra class. But yeah, I try to boil that down to just the major and minor triads, because probably
Mhm.
somebody's hitting the other notes. Start with that and you can find any chord.
Mhm.
Yep. All right, I'm going to jump around here a little bit.
That's cool.
And you told me about some of your musical influences as you were coming up and learning music. But how about like in general, some of your music influences in your playing, like favorite bands, could be from different eras in your life.
Oh boy.
I know one is Morphine, right?
Oh yeah, I love Morphine.
Yeah, I know that.
Well, I mean, if you look over my shoulder right there, that entire thing is all CDs, right?
Yep.
And I've got like records back here, so I have this really just voracious musical appetite, and I listen to everything really. You can get something out of pretty much any style of music. So I don't know. I like a lot of stuff. I seem to tend towards like jangly melodic pop. Like people joke about that all the time. That like if there's a band and they're jangly and they have kind of a melodic singer or something like that. That I'm usually like, have you heard these guys? And it's like, yeah, go figure. Like Fountains of Wayne or XTC is one of the big threes for me. The Beach Boys, Beatles, and XTC are kind of my big three. But then also, like I love jazz and I've listened to all different kinds of jazz. Like I think Charlie Parker is probably my favorite all time saxophone player. Chris Potter is kind of my favorite like now saxophone player. But and I love Bill Evans and Miles Davis and all that sort of stuff. So and orchestral music too. Like even though I don't play as much orchestral or any orchestral music now, I still love it. I still love listening to it. So.
Over and over, be careful, and I really tried, but I can't help myself when I'm close to you. I don't care, no, I don't care. I don't care about anything but you. Time and time again, you've said be careful, and I love that you mind. But I can't help that, it hurts when I'm away. So I don't care,